All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Hello, hello, hello. All right. So as it clearly states in that chat room there, we're gonna wait at least a minute here for everyone to get the notifications that I'm live. Oh, hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Oh guys, by the way, we're almost at 700 subs. Isn't that amazing? I think my goal has to be a little higher now for the end of the year. Maybe we can reach 1,000 subs on YouTube here. That's a lot of you guys there. Oh yeah, and even 700 is a lot of people, so that's quite amazing. Alright, I think we are slowly seeing some people come in now. I'm sure YouTube is sending out all the notifications, either to the email or to the YouTube app. Either way, if you guys aren't subscribed, well, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below or wherever it is on your device, and make sure once you guys hit that subscribe button, you guys have to hit that notification bell icon as well. If not, well, you won't be notified when I am live. All right. All right. Okay, I think we have a good amount of people in here now. Hey, what's up, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Alright, make sure you guys hit that like button down below as well. Okay, so tonight, oh, hello, whoa. See a bunch of people here now, awesome, awesome. Alright, we're going to talk about, well, I mean, you guys see it on the title here and on the thumbnail of the video. We're going to talk about SpaceX's IPO. Okay, so because they recently filed in their Form 1 with the SEC, okay, to officially, Form S1, I believe is what it's called, with the SEC to prepare for their IPO. Now, it's a very highly anticipated IPO because, again, they are aiming for $2 trillion. All right. Now, there's a lot of problems with that, and it seems like it really just seems like it's Elon Musk's personal kind of vendetta to really just become the first trillionaire of this world, which is kind of the reason why I think he intentionally knew what he was doing when he combined SpaceX and XAI together as one company. And now, tonight, overnight, Elon Musk is looking to discuss further consolidation of his companies by adding Tesla into that group, which is absolutely insane. But again, I don't know if the shareholders will actually even look to accept that, or right? Because I mean, SpaceX and XAI, the two companies aren't really they don't really match, right? Especially with SpaceX, what SpaceX is actually doing, especially with their really burgeoning business with Starlink, right? And also obviously their launches, their Falcon rocket, the Falcon. Yes, the Falcon rocket, as they proved to be a successful private spaceflight company and a rocket company where they can actually send payloads into low Earth orbit or LEO orbit, right? And potentially even further out. So yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, SpaceX's overall balance sheet, okay, hasn't been too good for the past 3 years. Okay, so we're looking here, right here. So this is the 2023 balance sheet. All right, kind of. So right here we're seeing a total revenue of $8 million and $721 million. Right. So I think. Oh, actually, hold on a second. There was the. Where is it? I'll find it as we're speaking here, but I'm looking at 2023 because that's kind of where SpaceX essentially solidified their spot in the private space age, is what I would say right now. That's what we're currently experiencing, where they're able to say that, hey, we are this space company and potentially future spacefaring company that can actually send payloads into low Earth orbit, or at least around the geosynchronous orbit, or GEO, right? So we have LEO or GEO, and specifically they've been able to successfully show this to worldwide investors and governments around the world that they can send these small satellites called Starlinks, right? The Starlink constellation build out that they've been focusing on for the last 3 to 4 years, where they're able to basically provide really fast internet speeds, right? From space that gets beamed down to anywhere on Earth, as long as you are subscribed to the subscription plans, right? So Starlink has fairly been, very successful for SpaceX. It's been a great way to generate revenue in which they can use that revenue to actually focus on the bigger projects, like using their Falcon rockets, right? And obviously for more R&D, especially when it comes with Falcon Heavy rockets and especially their Starlink rockets, right? So this is from 2023, right? So you guys can just pause here and just take a look at this or screenshot it on your own screens. This is from 2023, right? And there has been obviously a huge progression in the Falcon 9 rocket and in both the Falcon Heavy rockets as well, especially with the number of launches, especially the Falcon 9, as they have done more missions, more resupply missions to the ISS, and obviously for Starlink, right? So as long as more people are subscribing to Starlink, and especially when they're starting to see more commercial usages, right? A lot of big enterprises like or even just airliners, right? Airliners, I believe Delta is the airliner, the next major airliner that's supposed to get Starlink by next year, but they're really just making these contracts with a lot of these big companies that are looking to get Starlink's internet, right? So again, Starlink has been a major boost in revenue for them. Now, here is where things can get a little bit iffy, okay? Because SpaceX is churning a lot of cash and they're burning a lot of cash, right? Which makes sense. All right, that makes sense. They do a lot of rocket launches and they're doing a lot of research and development, again R&D on the rockets themselves, and especially when it comes to the next stage rockets, which next generation of rockets like Starlink. Excuse me, like what do you call it? I don't know why I'm going blank here, but either way, right? So the rockets are the most expensive expenses for this company, and their cash reserves may be high, right? But they have a huge amount of debt, on top of that, with the interest with that principal debt, right? So their debt is almost at $30 billion, while their cash reserves and their overall, short-term to long-term assets barely make up the total amount of debt that they have. So it's good to see that ratio, right? To see how much they'll be able to actually pay down that total debt, especially as they're trying to become a public company, right? And it's interesting to see because their capex, right, capital expenditures, has also that number alone has also exploded, especially when they've added on XAI. Okay, so XAI is also putting a lot of stress on the overall balance sheet for SpaceX. So again, I think as I've initially stated before, when it comes to Elon Musk, he didn't really care about any of the actual numbers that goes with SpaceX or even XAI, and he's just looking at the overall market valuation for each individual companies. And when you combine them together, well, it seems like this company is about to become, a huge debut in the overall markets as a $2 trillion IPO. Okay, and that will essentially make Elon Musk a trillionaire, right? So on paper, there's a lot of uncertainty as far as how the company will move forward from here. Obviously, SpaceX can still do its own thing, right? They can still operate as they continue to expand their Starlink satellites, and it's really just a matter of how they're going to continue to add on these numbers from XAI, which has spent a lot on expanding their AI infrastructure, right? Just like with any other big tech company, as they're really just focusing on these hyperscalers and data centers. And I believe in 2025, XAI spent close to 13 billion last year. Just to build the infrastructure to catch up essentially with the other mega cap or big tech companies like Google with Gemini, or even just other AI companies, specific AI companies like OpenAI or Anthropic, right? So this add-on of this total debt and just capex onto SpaceX's balance sheet is not really helping out, right? With the overall, how should I say this? The overall market valuation for SpaceX's IPO, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? Everyone is getting wind of this, right? And so that is the reason why. Now here's a conclusive statement here that SpaceX's IPO is definitely going to be a liquidity trap, right? So I recently made a video a couple of hours ago on Instagram. I'll be posting it here as well on YouTube as a short video. As a shorts video, but let me go over with you guys kind of the key points that I went over in that video. Okay, so let's see here. Where's my video here? Oh, it must be here. If you guys are wondering why my keyboard sounds a little bit different, well, I changed my keyboard. It's very nice. It's like ASMR. Let's see. If I can find it. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know why my my little there it is. Okay, so let me quickly give you a quick summary of what my short video is about. So first of all, okay, this is a complete liquidity trap, by the way, SpaceX IPO. I mean, everyone knows this at this point. Why? Well, first of all, SpaceX has been a private company, right? And they were already privately valued at a very high number. Even just, I believe last year in December of 2025, they're valued at 800 billion. But now, the fact that SpaceX and XAI have combined together, they're able to essentially come up with this number of $2 trillion in valuation, right, in market cap for the upcoming IPO. And what a grand timing there from Elon Musk, right? And so all these people who were already private investors into this company, into SpaceX for over a decade, right? They're gleaming with joy, right? They're seeing even a bigger return on their initial investment, their private investment. So venture capitalists, right, VCs, all the founders of the company maybe, or even just overall early insider people, right, who bought shares of the company or stake into the company, are looking to essentially cash out after its IPO. That makes sense, right? Because again, just last year in December of 2025, they were at $800 billion in valuation, market valuation. But now, a couple months later, into this new year, it's now at $2 trillion, right? And so let me remind you guys, kind of the insanity of this IPO, right? Because when SpaceX and XAI combined, okay, it's essentially gave XAI itself, right, to actually directly start competing with other major AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI, just based off the market valuation alone. Okay, it's also interesting to see that yes, we saw Starlink's revenue surging as well since 2023, once they again basically proved to everyone that they're able to send these large, well, not that they're not really large, but they're able to send payloads successfully without any, mechanical failure from the rockets or any major failure from the rockets while they're flying up there, right, into low Earth orbit, or geosynchronous orbit, right, geo. So I think Starlink's revenue is great. I believe the most recent number from last year was like 11.5 billion, right? 11.5 billion in revenue, and they're looking to get that up to I think like 13 billion in revenue by this year, and they have over 10 million in active subscribers, right? Who are using Starlink's services for internet, right? For Wi-Fi, right? So again, SpaceX themselves, they're doing great, but it's XAI that's kind of the problem here. Okay, there's a lot of losses in XAI already, just simply because of the fact that they're just investing so much into the overall infrastructure for XAI, and I think due to the combination of well, I guess combination and culmination. The entire culmination of the losses from both companies has resulted in an overall, I think, 5 billion in net loss just in last year. Okay, and then now the fact that they have combined, right? I think it's at 4.5 billion net loss in just the first quarter of this year. I think that's what I read. Yeah, so that's insane, right? So they basically created this entire net loss, culmination of a net loss number that was almost similar to the entire net loss of an entire fiscal year of last year. Does that make sense? Right? So that's pretty insane. Okay, I don't think I really have to explain to you guys why that's insane, and why this $2 trillion valuation again still does not make any sense at all, even though on paper it does kind of make sense when you are, well, basically pumping up the overall market valuation of each company by combining them together. Okay, now the second thing that I really want to go over is that of the reasons why this is a liquidity trap, a huge liquidity trap for the overall markets, is that there's also the thing called passive index buying, or actually forced index buying, right? So as I've stated in that short video on Instagram, that Reels video actually, Nasdaq's fast entry rules, right, indicate basically tell or stipulate that the stock will basically quickly and automatically join the Nasdaq, right? Especially the Nasdaq 100, I think, just 15 days of trading, right? And so this is going to basically force buying on passive ETFs like retirement funds, right? And to reflect and mirror the overall index. So that in itself is kind of crazy as well, right? I mean, this is just an overall a huge turn of and rotation of institutional money into just because of this IPO that's about to come up on June 12th, right? So this entire allocation of institutional and retail money at this point is just going to provide such an easy exit for all of those early venture capitalists, founders, and just overall investors, early investors who got into as a collective into the company very early on, right? And so they're going to be very giddy on the day of the actual listing, and maybe they might even just try to hold on as well, especially with the fast entry rules of NASDAQ. They're going to be introduced into the major index like the NASDAQ 100 just after 15 days of trading on the markets. So again, that's not going to be good for retirement funds like 401ks or So again, this is pretty simple to follow, right? This type of generational rotation of mass amounts of money is not going to be good for the overall markets, and will most likely lead into at least a blow off the top moment, a correctional move to really just tell us that, hey, this is mass amounts of liquidity that will eventually be taken out, right? So in one huge sweep and one huge moment as well. So that's another way to basically view this, right, in our own perspectives, right? So and now it all just comes down to how the price is actually going to react. If you guys remember back in 2021, 2022, there's at least the last half of 2021, there's a lot of anticipation for a lot of massive IPOs, and I believe Rivian was one of them too, when EVs were all the craze, right? Electric vehicles. And Rivian got a lot of initial anticipation and hype because of the fact that Amazon was a huge investor into Rivian. And if you guys haven't noticed, Amazon and Rivian have been we're still working closely together as Amazon trucks are starting to become quote unquote electrified with Rivian's vans, right? If you guys haven't seen them yet in your area, well, just take a look at a picture on Google. They're very, very interesting in a good way, right? Just the overall looks, right? So what I'm trying to tell you guys here is that with huge IPOs, right, like that, where they're worth a couple billion or hundreds of billions at open in market cap, they usually start to underperform immediately after the listing, right, compared to the overall markets, and in the next 3 to 5 years. And guess what Rivian has been doing in the last 3 years? Underperforming the markets, right? So I'm going to be expecting SpaceX's IPO to be the exact same way, and follow the exact same historical trend and seasonal trend of what an IPO tends to do, especially when it has such a massive valuation on the day of listing, or even just a couple days after post-list, right, listing event. So there's a lot to consider here as to how the markets will react. But if you guys remember, what followed after all those massive IPOs like Rivian in 2022 was a bear market, right? Now, I'm not stating that there's going to be a bear market this year, in the last half of this year, but it will be a very prudent thing to say and understand and comprehend that, hey, once a massive liquidity event occurs like this one, like SpaceX, again, if you guys didn't know, SpaceX's potential IPO ticker symbol is going to be SPCX. Makes sense, right? Obviously, SPC has already been taken by Virgin Galactic, I think. What is it? What do they call it now? Oh. Yeah, Virgin Galactic Holdings. Okay, so this is already taken. So I guess it still makes sense to do SPCX, right? Oh, look at this! Look at that. They're getting ready now. NASDAQ here. Yeah, Space Exploration Technologies Corp. On June 12th. TradingView already has it here. Okay, so again, it seems like the fundamentals of this company just absolutely does not make sense. I mean, even just 3 years ago, right? It just doesn't make sense. Right. Again, it's the revenue is going up, obviously. They have more government contracts, and that's kind of the reasons why Elon Musk intentionally got very directly involved with the Trump administration this year. It was all because of the money that was involved, obviously, the government contracts, and the regulation as well when it comes to R&D and of the rockets specifically, actually. And yeah, so this is a direct line for him to really just gain as much government fervor and favor and build relationships in the government to really just direct government contracts and the money that comes with them towards SpaceX, basically completely leaving their competitors behind, like Blue Origin coming from Jeff Bezos. Okay, so again, there's always some sort of a underlying intention, right? With all these advancements that Elon Musk has made, and reasons why he wanted to have an IPO for SpaceX, even though he's kept it private for years, right? For over a decade. So it's very interesting to see how he's playing this and how he has been playing this for the last, I would say, the last 2.5 years or so, right? And the fact that he's actually combined, he's just poured a bunch of money into, and obviously all the investors surrounding him poured money into XAI was very interesting too, since the end result now is the fact that they have a combined company with SpaceX and XAI. So there's a lot of ulterior motives that have occurred in the last 2.5 years, and it's all leading up into this one singular point. And the singular point is this massive liquidity trap of SpaceX's IPO. Okay, now when it comes to the overall markets, right? SPY or QQQ, okay, June 12th is probably going to be a massive blow off the top moment. Okay, that's only a couple weeks from now, and there's a good chance that QQQ just, I mean, personally, even without looking at or considering SpaceX's IPO, guys, I've been looking at 750 to 760 as a potential blow off the top area for QQQ, and for SPY, well, this one's getting very close to 800 here. So for me, for SPY, for me it was around 765 to around 770. So that's nice 5-point range, right? It would kind of make sense for SPY to go up a bit more since Nasdaq has been leading the charge here since the rally that began in early April. Or I think, yeah, well, I guess, yeah, early April. Okay, and again, if you guys didn't read the report, if you guys aren't part of the CFO Stream Watch report, which you guys can find more details on in the description box down below, it's the very second link that you guys can see in that description box. But I noted that we have been going up straight for 8 weeks, right? 8 consecutive weeks, and I mean, you guys can see it here, right? I really have nothing more to say on that. All right, so we have been seeing 8 consecutive weeks of positive performance and returns, right? And it seems like they want a 9th week here. Obviously, it's a very short trading week, which actually makes it even better for bulls to take full control. And again, the overall market's just been having this overall gamma squeeze as well. So the intraday gamma levels as well has been absolutely on point. If you guys follow that on any heat map that's out there, that any services that provide that, these gamma levels have been absolutely on point because, well, a lot of dealer hedging is also heavily involved into this as well, market dealers. So if you guys are really into stuff like that, you guys should look into it. It's pretty interesting as options volume is starting to gain a lot more control and traction over the markets, and as the markets have continued to anticipate this massive historical IPO of SpaceX, I think it's going to be pretty prudent to take a look at those levels. Okay. Now, what's also interesting is that I also mentioned 2 different space. Well, let me just say, it's not spacefaring, but they're rocket companies, and specifically Firefly Aerospace, which has just begun to really fully test their home, well, their in-house rocket, obviously, right? Homemade rocket is what I was about to say. But they have successfully been able to do controlled burns, right, underground, right, controlled tests, and Firefly Aerospace seems to be kind of really launching off, literally, even in the share price, right, and the market cap, as SpaceX anticipation continues to build up. So if you guys didn't know, I mentioned ticker symbol FLY here back in mid to late February. I think it was around here on this week that I'm really interested in getting some equity here. And then I also mentioned LUNR. So this is the company that was able to land on the moon with their robotics orbiter. It was an orbiter, and then they landed on the moon, I believe. I don't know if it was successful. I believe this is the company that their robot actually ended up touching down on the moon, and then it tipped over, if I'm not mistaken, and then they were able to come back up, I think. I think that happened in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Which is why we see this big jump. My memory is a little bit cloudy on that. But as you guys can clearly see here, when I mentioned LUNR, right here, same story here. LUNR and FLY, right? They both have gone straight up since then. Right, so absolutely amazing move. So even the rocket companies and just overall space companies, anything that's related to space, all these companies are seeing huge injections of money, right? This money is rotating into these big companies, these up and coming companies or already established rocket or space companies. And once SpaceX's IPO is out, it's publicly listed and starts trading on NASDAQ, I'm pretty sure all these companies, I mean, we've seen this multiple times, right? On revenue as well too, and just every other big IPO that came out in late 2021 and early 2022, or at least the first half of 2022, we saw the absolute vacuum being formed where liquidity was completely sucked out, not just on the IPOs themselves, but on the actual peers who are already trading on the markets, right? Who are already publicly trading on the markets. So I would expect all these big companies that had a huge surge in volume the last couple of months, just in the last couple, like maybe 2.5 months, all this volume can completely be taken out post SpaceX IPO. So that's another warning that I have to give you guys about this huge liquidity trap. It's not just on SpaceX alone, right? Because we're having this huge beneficiary moment where all the other SpaceX peers like Firefly Aerospace or Lunar, or again, ASTS, right? As yet another a company that's working on these tiny satellites that can beam down some amazing stuff to humans and their phones and their devices, and etc. Right? So all of this, right? All of these companies have been seeing a huge surge in volume for the last couple of months. So they're most likely going to come crashing back down as well once SpaceX's IPO definitely becomes a huge opportunity for all of these early VCs, private investors, and etc. Does that make sense? Right? So these people had early access essentially, and they're the ones who have who will benefit the most, while they use retail and just overall public fervor and sentiment to their advantage and sell a lot of their shares, a lot of their positions, okay, in SpaceX. And obviously for people who are already in XAI, since again it's a consolidated company now, okay. And again, it makes sense for them to sell. Why? Because the overall consolidated company has a combination of really horrible fundamentals. And that is, I'm putting that very lightly, all right? If you just go down to the numbers, the actual numbers, you guys should be able to see it in the next couple of days or next couple of weeks post IPO, as they continue to give out publicly their income sheet, right? Income statement, their balance sheet, etc. Right? Yeah. So it's going to be pretty interesting, guys. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to tell you guys tonight. I mean, it's, you know, the media is talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. You know, news reporters, right? The major mainstream media is talking about it. CNBC is talking about it, right? It's at this point, it is very well known that it's going to be a huge liquidity trap. And I think overall, I gave you guys my overall below the top levels for SPY and QQQ, right? The S&P 500 ETF or QQQ ETF, right? So it's, I don't know exactly how the blow off the top moment will come, but I do know that a very brief correction has to come post SpaceX IPO. I mean, this injection of liquidity and then the brief moment where we're going to be seeing that complete exit of liquidity is going to be a huge, again, I'm just giving you guys a very good warning here, right? It's going to be a huge rotation of institutional money, which could be worth trillions. All right, billions is already enough, but at this point it could be worth trillions of money that's rotating. All right, so please be careful, guys. It's very nice that you guys are buying the rumor. I know there's many people out there, there's a lot of you guys that are watching now that are that have been pouring all your money into the space stocks that have been a huge beneficiary to the upcoming anticipation of the SpaceX IPO, this $2 trillion valuation IPO listing. So please start to take some profits as we get closer and closer to SpaceX's IPO. All right, I mean, you really don't want to be holding when we have such a historical IPO like this with a company that's just burning a lot of cash and has a massive amount of debt, mostly due to the fact that there's been a culmination and consolidation of of balance sheets from two companies into one. Okay, and yeah, don't forget to watch my Instagram Reels video. It's a very short form video. It's only about 2 minutes. Okay, you guys should be able to get a lot more information. Well, not a lot more information, but some little more details that I didn't go over tonight. But obviously, I went over a lot more details as far as numbers goes, right? With their balance sheet, their debt, their revenue when it comes to Starlink, right? Satellites for SpaceX, and the overall costs, right? The operating costs and infrastructure costs for XAI, or just overall capex, right? So those numbers are very important, and they will become a major spotlight post IPO. So do not forget about that. All right. Well. Oh, there's a lot of you guys in here tonight. So hopefully, again, this live stream was useful, and maybe for anyone who recently watched my Instagram Reels video, that short form video, maybe this is a good live stream to kind of combine what I said in that video with this live stream tonight, and hopefully this will become a very useful video to come back to post SpaceX's IPO. All right, well, that's it for tonight, guys. Again, you guys can just, if you guys have any more questions about SpaceX's IPO, you guys can just DM me on Instagram at TrustFocus1, or just simply Google it. I mean, everyone's talking about it now, right? It's not a secret anymore. People are now really honing into their fundamentals, the income statement, the balance sheet, etc. Right? And right now, the entire focus is on their debt compared to their cash on hand, or even just the overall revenue. Okay, so, and obviously the overall valuation, their overall market cap that they will be trying to achieve on the actual day of listing, which is again $2 trillion. That's insane, absolutely insane. Okay, that is it for tonight, guys. All right, I'm a bit tired today. I stayed up a little late last night. I was doing a lot of research, so that's it for me, guys. I think this is one of my shorter streams here, 40 minutes. Okay, all right, I'll catch you guys probably on Thursday at the same time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, good luck tomorrow, and thank you so much for watching.